What is going on, guys? Grave here. Today I'd like to give you my thoughts on the Edge of Fate so far. I'm not going to have any spoilers in this video. I'm not even going to have any gameplay in the background that is from the story. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone that has not completed it yet. But this is going to kind of be just my thoughts about the expansion so far as a whole. And I know everyone has their different opinions. Some people like it, some people don't. Of course, when it comes to gaming, everyone always has a different opinion when it comes to the games they enjoy to play. But starting off with the story in general, without spoiling anything, just the storytelling part is really good in my opinion. It really picks up towards the middle of the campaign. And this is a pretty lengthy campaign. This is a grindy one. It takes a pretty good little bit to beat it. I would say I played it solo, so I would say if you had friends you're playing with, probably 6 or 7 hours. For me, solo, probably 8 to 10, but I did do a lot of kind of adventuring off and not really staying on task. But just overall, it's a pretty long, grindy campaign for, kind of what you would expect here in Destiny. But it does do a lot of ability explanation during the first part of the story. It's explaining how you use the new abilities there in the new, new world, new area that we're in. And I felt like that might have been a bit too long. I understand they were going really all in on helping out new players that may have just picked up the game and started playing. But I felt that was kind of a drag for a lot of people, and a lot of people may have just given up on it at that point and said, it's not for them. But in my opinion, after that first part or that first half, the story really picks up and it's really, really good. And it's what you would expect, normally from Bungie and, of course, Destiny. But I did feel like that first part was a bit too long. After the story, you're kind of thrown into, you can farm things in the new zone. You can go in and farm the new system that we have where you can go in and do things solo with a fire team. However you want to do it. You can focus farm gear. I think the way that is set up is definitely made for people that like to grind out games. This is not going to be something that you're going to go in and be done in a couple hours and have max power level. This is something that a lot of people have even been stating 90 hours plus to grind out your gear. So if you're a fan of grinding out gear, this is definitely for you. And you're also going to have to keep in mind, this is something that's going to change in another 6 months. You're going to be reset back to that, 200 power level. And you're going to have to grind out your stuff once again. So every 6 months, you're looking at going back or being reset to a lower power level and having to reacquire gear again. So if that's not something that you like, this may not be the expansion that you're going to really enjoy. But that new armor system, that new grind system is something they have decided to go with. So a lot of people may not like that. They may like the older systems that we've had in Destiny, or the one we just had recently, and that has definitely been done away with. I feel like the new grind is interesting. Of course, we are just now getting into it. I think it's, like I said, for somebody that likes to grind out stuff and try different things with builds and theorycraft, it's really good. Of course, if you're someone that's been around the channel here for a long time, I play a lot of different games. I do play a lot of the Elder Scrolls Online. Kind of the same idea there. I like to grind out different gear sets, grind out different things, try to theorycraft things. And you're getting more of an option of that now in Destiny. Not that you couldn't do it in the past, but you just have more options now because there's a lot of different ways you can, focus farm certain things, certain sets, certain whatever. So I feel like the new gear system is good for someone like me that likes to grind out stuff. But if you're not a real grindy fan, if you don't want to reset, like I said, all your stuff every 6 months, you may be a bit disappointed. I also feel like the addition of how they have done everything, how you can focus farm stuff, and like I said, go in and do it solo or with a fire team is nice. So that is a option there. Excuse me. Also, the addition of the firing range is an absolute game changer. And I'm not sure why we haven't had this in Destiny the entire time, but they have added a firing range now, and it is phenomenal. If you want to test anything, you don't have to go anywhere anymore. You don't have to go to a certain dungeon, a certain area, a certain raid. You can test everything inside of that firing range, and it is really, really nice. You can set up and change things however you want, and I think the firing range was a big plus. I feel like Bungie just as a whole, and I didn't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up with this. As a whole, are laying the groundwork for what we're going to see going forward. They said this is going to be another multi-year saga, like we saw with the Final Shape, kind of how that ended after several years of having different stories and everything leading up to that. And I feel like the way they're starting with this, it's kind of the same idea. I didn't expect it to start off like, crazy story, big things that you would expect to see kind of towards the end of the expansion, like you would have seen maybe in the Final Shape or the Witch Queen. I thought it would be more of a slow burn, and it was in a way, but that is because they're setting up everything. They're having to set up a multi-year idea, so it's going to be not as exciting or not as crazy maybe right off the bat. But I still think the story and all the storytelling was really, really good, and it gave us some new things to think about within the Destiny kind of universe. So I expect to see more and more as the year progresses, and of course, as we get into next year and so on, to kind of go with this story, to have those big wow moments that we're used to seeing within Destiny. But at the same time, I think they're just really laying the groundwork for the future. I am interested to see how they're going to put in the whole Renegade idea with the Star Wars thing. And I think it's going to be just mainly all the stuff is kind of a theme idea, the new zone. Everything's going to be kind of reminiscent of Star Wars. I still think it's going to hopefully follow the story that they've laid out with the Edge of Fate. They may go in a different direction. Who knows? We'll kind of have to wait and see. But overall, I personally have been enjoying it. Is it the greatest expansion Bungie has ever done? Definitely not. And I do understand why some people may not like the new aspects that they have added in. But is it the worst expansion they ever done? Definitely not either. So I'm going to say it's a pretty good one. It's nothing that's just mind-blowing, but it's not awful, in my opinion, at least to me, either. So leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the Edge of Fate, and have you been grinding out gear? Have you beat the campaign? All that good stuff. Of course, if you liked the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.